All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Youth Night Live. Everybody in the studio, say what's up. What's up? So tonight, for everybody that's in the room, everybody that's online, we are continuing our 4-month discussion, or however long it's been, on spiritual disciplines. And tonight, we are talking about the spiritual discipline of living a holy life, which is very interesting. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think we mean about living a simple and holy life? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your head when you think about that? John?
Living for God.
Living for God. Simply put, right? I mean, that's... Good job, John. Everybody give up for John. That's good. That's pretty good. So, yeah, essentially, I can't put it in better words. So, just in the live stream right there. I mean, that's good. Living for God. Okay, so living for God means a lot of things. We'll discuss what those things mean. But what do you think those things are? Contentment, okay. Contentment. Do you think that, interesting question. Do you think you can have contentment without having God?
No.
Right. So that's good. So living a content life. That's really good. That's huge key. Who else? Grace.
Filling your time with things that matter and prioritizing.
Great.
Rather than just filling it with waste.
Yep, that's fantastic. That's one of my points tonight is priorities. Yeah, that's huge. All right, what else? Who else? Any ideas? Anybody? Okay, what do you think, Hunter?
Being grateful.
Grateful, gratitude. That's huge. Do you? Okay, another interesting question. Do you think you can have contentment without gratitude?
No.
We're getting somewhere, people. This is good. All right, who else? Sydney, what'd you think?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, I just put her on the spot. Oh, my goodness. What do you think?
I think that I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, that's totally fine. I just forgot the question. What was I asking?
What does it mean to live a simple life?
Yeah, we're asking something specific, though, right?
What does it mean to have a simple and holy life?
You said, do you think you can have gratitude without contentment? We said no.
I think I just asking too many questions. I'm getting lost. All right, we're just going to move on, okay? So there is a verse in the New Testament, in 1 Thessalonians, where Paul is addressing the church in Thessalonica. However you say that word, that's who he's addressing, okay? So there's a church in the New Testament that Paul's addressing, and he says that you should strive to live a simple and holy life. Pretty sure that's the verse. If that's not the verse, it's somewhere in the New Testament. Somebody go find it, and you get 1,000 bonus points for wherever you find that verse. But he's addressing the New Testament church, and he's saying, I want you to strive to live a simple and holy life. Okay, and then he kind of goes through a lot of what that practically means. He talks about tending to your own business, basically stewarding the opportunities that you already have, and tons of things like that, okay? So what we're going to do, just like every week, is I'm going to give you a couple points that we're going to go into, and you write them down. Take good notes, because we don't expect you to internalize everything in a 30-minute conversation, but we want to honor your time, and we also want to give you some really good content. So put the content down. Everybody who is watching online, take notes. We're going to put some notes in the chat for you guys, but also at the end of that, which will be the majority of our time together, is asking questions, okay, having some good conversation. So also, if you're online and you have questions, put your questions in the chat, and then we can answer them here and discuss them together. We're going to do some fun stuff tonight, because I'm actually going to bring some students here in the studio up into the spotlight with me to literally put them on the spot and ask them some questions. And they didn't know that until just now, where nobody even knows still who is coming up here. So it's fairly exciting, because it could be anybody. It could be you. It could be you. It could be you. Huh? Anybody? Nobody knows. All right. So here we go. The first thing to understand about living a simple and holy life, the number one, write this down, put this in your notes, is understanding balance. Understanding balance. And in parentheses, when you put down in your notes, understanding balance, I want you to put in parentheses, and the myth of it. And the myth of it. Understand balance, in parentheses, and the myth of it. So, in case you didn't already gather, the idea of understanding balance is understanding that balance doesn't exist. Okay? It's a very cultural thing, but it is definitely not a God thing. Okay? Balance is not something that we should achieve to strive in life. What we should try to achieve is understanding seasons and building on priorities in those seasons. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But to start the conversation, we have to start with an understanding that balance is often something that is put in front of us, like, hey, you should pursue balance wherever you're at in life. So we hear all the time, work-life balance. That does not exist. A lot of y'all gonna get real frustrated. You step into the workforce and you're gonna be like, what happened to my work-life balance? It's not a thing. Montrell, is that a thing? It ain't a thing. It is not a thing. You have seasons in life where you're gonna be working more than you're gonna be doing life. And then you're gonna have seasons in life where you're gonna be doing life a lot more than you're working. Okay, and it just depends on what season of life you're in. For example, I'll prove to you that it is not a God thing, okay? It's not a God thing because you look at nature and how nature was made. We have 4 seasons for a reason, okay? So you look at our season, not every day is 70 and sunny, okay? If it was 70 and sunny, that would be great, but it's not. It's not 70 and sunny. It's like 90 and 100% humidity right now, okay? So you look at the winter, and that's not what it is either. So now, why is that the case? Well, I don't know. Ask God. That's just the way He made it. So God literally structured this earth where you have seasons. Seasons come, seasons go. But there's a specific thing that happens in every season. If you didn't have a summer, or if you didn't have a winter, then your summers wouldn't be so great, right? So there's all these... and even scientifically speaking, naturally speaking, there's all these things that happen in each season that could not happen in another season that are dependent upon another season's success as a result of what happens in the winter and the summer and whatever else, okay? So hopefully that makes sense, but basically at the end of the day is that not only is it not 70 degrees and sunny every single day, but it wouldn't be good if it was, okay? So you look at how God structured the earth. There's a season for everything, and there's not a season for everything to be perfect. Okay, that's just not how it works. There's also the entire book of Ecclesiastes that literally says there's a season for mourning, there's a season for celebrating, there's a season for this, and a blah, blah, blah. There's never a season where everything is perfectly balanced. There's always a season for something, but that something is not everything, okay? So I think that's just important to understand at first. Because a lot of you right now, even during school, you are thinking like, man, I'm trying to like balance all this stuff. You have a couple years to be in high school. Be in high school, okay? Do sports, do whatever the high school thing is, and be in high school, okay? Don't be like, oh, I have to work a full-time job while I'm in high school because I have to pay for, I don't know what you would pay for, but just pay for whatever. It's don't be trying to work a full-time job while you're in high school. You're in high school, okay? Understand your season and be in that season. It's okay. A lot of you, I think, should take the pressure off of you trying to do everything and just understand the season that you're in, okay? So that's number one. Understanding balance and the fact that it doesn't exist. Okay, so stop trying to pursue it. What we do need to pursue then starts with point number 2, understand direction. Understand direction. Understand direction. So, for example, you've got you in high school. Let's say that you're like, okay, I'm going to stop trying to work a 40-hour week job because I'm in high school. So I should just be in high school, right? So what should you do then while you are in high school and with your free time? I think it's very healthy to begin looking at your giftings and your callings and to figure out what is a direction that I want my life to move in, and how can I kind of structure my free time to head in that direction. That does not mean that you're balanced in every part of life, but it does mean that the time that you do have and where you are in school right now is all heading towards the same direction. So you're building momentum that can really benefit you way more than just being in balance would, right? So you want to understand direction. Direction is huge. I think direction is God-given, obviously. I think that there's a ton of different ways that you can evaluate the direction that you're on and figure out, is this good or not? Like, am I headed on a good direction? How many of you would look at your life and you'd say, like, don't raise your hand, but you'd say, like, yeah, I'm not really headed, like, in the best direction. Yeah, I should probably change the direction that I'm headed. And then some of you in this room are like, I really like the direction I'm headed on. Well, that's great. But I think there's some very specific things that you want to ask to figure out if your direction is good or not, okay? One of those things that I would say is kind of linking back to some other things that we've talked about in previous weeks is, what community do you have that is speaking into the direction that you're headed? I think that's probably the biggest one, is like, how do you know if you're heading in a good direction or not? Ask the people around you, right? So, but you've got to make sure you have the right people around you. Now, we're assuming that we've kind of built on the topic of last week, so we're not going to talk so much about that, but we talked about life-giving community and how important it is. That's the good thing about the church and spiritual mentors and father figures in the church, and like literally your own parents, having the right people speak into your life. And don't let people tell you no that can't give you a yes. We've talked about that. Like if they're not the one that can open the door, don't let them be the one to tell you that you can't walk through it. You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense. So understand direction. Number 3, understand your season. I'm not going to talk too much about this one because I feel like we, pretty much just hammered that down. So understand your season. I think that seasons are super important, not just recognizing them, but really understanding them. So like the difference is, what do y'all think the difference is? Somebody tell me the difference between understanding your season and really just, what did I just say? Tell me the difference between just recognizing your season and then understanding it and like doing what you're supposed to do in that season. What?
I guess recognizing your season would be just, so this is what this is what the phase I'm going through. And then understanding it would be like, okay, this is what I need to do to start to cope with this, start to develop into this part so that I can be set.
Right. Exactly. That's fantastic. It's a great answer. So the key thing that you just hit on is the difference is when I recognize my season, like, oh yeah, we're all in high school. Okay, almost everybody in this room is in high school except for like me, So y'all are in high school right now, and my boy Montreal, can't forget my boy Montreal. So basically y'all are all students in school right now. So you could just say like, yeah, I'm in school, sick. But recognizing your season is not the same as understanding it. What Michael just said was, which is great, is that it goes from recognizing to understanding when you start making decisions based off of your season that are going to help you for your future, right? Big difference. Everybody knows they're in high school when they're in high school, but few people understand how to respond in that and make decisions in that season that are going to help them on the path that they're trying to go, right? So, okay, the last thing is build on your priorities. Build on your priorities. Who said, Grace said that earlier. One of the keys to living a simple and holy life is to know what your priorities are. Know what your priorities are. If your priorities are right and you can build on those priorities, then, Jesus literally talks about it in that same metaphor. He says, somebody who builds their house on me in this truth, it's like building your house on a solid rock, solid foundation. You don't want to build it on sand, because then you spend 12 years building something all throughout school only to get out of school and to recognize you didn't understand balance, you didn't understand direction, you didn't understand your season. You built your life on really not important things, and now you have nothing to show for it. And you definitely don't want to be there, right? So build on your priorities. Who in here thinks that they know what are some like really solid priorities? Yeah.
Your family.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right. That's huge. Your family is a big one. Yeah, that is massive. How many of you in high school, you're just like, I can't wait to get away from my family? Okay, let's just be honest, everybody's probably going to be lifting their hand at some point. But to some extent, that's healthy, and also to some extent, that should be a red flag. to say like, hey, you've got one season in your life while you are a student to be living under the house or the roof of your parents. So you've got to get everything you can out of your parents and learn as much as you can from them and connect with them as much as possible before you leave. Because hopefully you ain't going back. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully. Yeah, family is huge. That's huge. Who's got another one?
Community.
Community's a good one. Nathan?
I mean, it's the obvious one, but like God.
God? Come on. I'm glad somebody said it. You know what I'm saying? Whoever's that in the back?
Basically the same thing as Nathan, but quiet times in the morning.
Okay, so getting a little bit more practical. So like practically putting, starting your day off right. Yeah, that's good. Okay, D, okay?
Knowing what you want to do in your life. Like,
Knowing what you want to do. So identifying like a calling or something. Yeah, that's huge. Or at least the pursuit of it, right? You may not find it out immediately, but pursuing is good. Grace?
Taking the time to serve.
Time to serve. That's huge. Gosh, that is a good one. Man, that's really good. Man, Tyrone Holloman Sr. That man, he said, if you ain't got time to serve, you ain't got time to grow.
Come on, somebody.
Golly, every time I hear that on that video, I'm like, oh God, I just get convicted. I saw another hand.
Leslie.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I gotcha.
Investing in life-giving relationships.
Come on, somebody. Oh, man, getting around the right group of people and investing in those people. So good. Yes,
Make people's lives better.
helping people. Yeah, that's great. I think that goes hand in hand with serving. That's really good. Anybody else? Those are all really good. Okay, good job. Okay, so there is a book that I've never referenced a book. Well, I have, the Bible, and like other books that I've referenced, but this is a book that I'm going to give to you guys that I actually want you to read, okay? So I wonder who actually is going to do this. I'd be very interested to know who's actually going to read this book. There's actually a little study guide pamphlet that you can buy, and it's pretty much just as good. So you just gotta buy that. So there's a book. It's called Good to Great. Good to Great. It's one of the best. No way.
Yeah.
Is that? Come on, somebody. Let's go. Look at God. And look right there. Good to Great. Somebody done Sharpied on it. Anyway, it just doesn't have the Sharpie, but that's pretty much it. Good to Great. Jim Collins. Man, it's so good. So this book is literally all about, gosh, there's so much. I can't even. So it's a lot, okay? It's a lot. But basically, it really helps you, as DLK said earlier, as you were trying to identify your calling in life. How many of you would say, I'm pretty sure I know like what my calling is? Okay, we got like 3 people. That's good. 4 people, 5 people. That's good. 6, 7. Nice. How many of you are like, I don't have a clue? A lot more hands just went up. That's good. How many of you are like, I think I know? Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so this book, then, for every person who just raised their hand, it doesn't matter which of the 3 questions you just answered, it is extremely helpful. Okay, so good. So this book talks about 3 very important things that you should figure out as you're discovering your calling. And the 3 things are, number 1 is, what are you best at that nobody else in the world can beat you at? Like, what are you better at than anyone else in the world? I'm pretty sure that's how he words it. Sounds kind of weird, but yeah. Yeah.
Being yourself.
Being yourself. So essentially answering the question, what makes you you? Right? So like, what are you better at than anyone else in the entire world? Because there is something. That's weird to think about, right? But there is something that you are better at than anybody else on the entire planet. That's kind of wild. Okay, so second question. That's first question. Second question is, what are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? What are you better at than anyone else in the world? And then the third thing, which is a little bit hard to understand, but it's called the economic engine. So like, how can you do those 2 things and make money and be like successful? So anyway, it kind of walks through all those different things, and it's super good. But building on your priorities, this guy, so there's lots of Christian references in this book, and it's super helpful. So it'll kind of help you understand that. So understanding your direction, understanding that balance just does not exist. Okay, so like when I have babies, which I got 2 under 2 right now, and there's no balance in my life at all. Like when I go home, I'm all babies. When I come here, I'm all work. And then sometimes when I go home, I'm all work too. My wife don't like that, but sorry, babe. But you know, it's just how it is. But when we first bring a baby home, I'm not thinking about y'all. I'm not thinking about the church. I'm thinking about how do I get this baby to stop crying so I can get some sleep. You know, so your seasons shift and balance doesn't exist. Okay, but you got to understand. Okay, and the last thing that I'll tell you guys is a really funny story about Declan before we answer questions, because we need a comedic relief, okay? Declan this morning, I came downstairs. He's been doing this thing where like he gets up like super early, right? And Mikhail like go pull him out of his crib. He'll come over to my bed and he'll tap me on the foot. He says, "Come on, Dada, come on." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." And so I came downstairs today, and he was like grunting in the living room, and he was pushing one out, and he looked at me and I said, "Declan, are you pooping?" And he said, "Yeah, Declan, poo." And I was like, and then he stopped for a minute, and you got to wait till he's done. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to change the diaper, and then he'll poop some more. And so then he kept grunting, and I was like, "Declan, are you still pooping?" And he said, "Yeah, big poo." I was like, "Dang, nice, thanks." Anyway, that's kind of the stage that we're in right now with Declan, and I'm loving it. So, all right. So we have question time right now. I'm going to invite my man Connor up to the stage here. I'm going to scoot over a little bit, make sure we're still in the shot.
I don't know what questions I'm answering, but
Yeah, neither do I. That's kind of how it works. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to scoot over a little bit more.
right up here.
Yeah, it's you got to just pretend like they're not there.
Sick.
Okay, who's got questions for Connor on anything that we talked about tonight?
Sick.
One person over there.
Grace.
How do you learn to be okay with taking time to rest and not always being busy, like not using busyness to distract yourself?
I love being busy. So that's actually been something that I've been discovering this past year with like starting so many new seasons with college and starting my own business and things. It's like I don't know when to rest. I don't know where that fits in. Monday through Saturday I'm doing something, and on Sunday I have church. And so it's like I don't think I need rest, but at the end of the day, God rested, and if He rested, I know I need it. And I think, like you said, that's just one of those priorities that you have to set for yourself, and it has to come before certain things, which is really hard when you want to do all these other things. But at the end of the day, if you're not resting, you're not going to do those things as well as you could. So you just got to fit that rest in somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of why we talk about like spiritual disciplines or disciplines, because they're hard.
Right.
And you think you can get more done out of 7 days of working, but really you can get a 5-day rested you is better than a 7-day burnt out you. Every time. That's good. All right, who else? Who's got questions? All right, we got 2 up here. Let's do, is that Leslie again? Okay, Leslie.
How do you enjoy the season that you're in?
Okay, what season are you in? You're just graduated, you're just going into college, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of hard for me because I got some wacky professors. But
Who, if they're watching right now, he loves you, I promise.
I think that goes along with, what we talked about tonight. How, you have to not just acknowledge the season you're in, but understand it. Because if you don't understand it, you're not going to know what to enjoy about it. And so if you're just in a season and you're acknowledging where you're at, but you don't know how you're going to grow in that, you're not going to enjoy it. And so I think the biggest thing you can do is just, really dive into that season before you try, coming out of it. Because you may think you're out of it, but if you didn't grow in that season, you're probably going to go through it again. So.
Man, what you just said is so good. Because, so you just said, if you don't understand your season, you won't know what to enjoy out of it. Like what, I don't know how you worded that, but essentially, you won't know what to expect. Like, so what you're saying is that a part of understanding your season is knowing what to expect out of that season.
Right.
Man, that's good. So if you guys are expecting to go into college and have a 4-year vacation, Hawaii kind of thing, then then you don't understand your season. Okay,
Right.
you need to understand that your season is going to be a kind of a 4-year grind of working while putting yourself through school. Some of y'all may got it like that, and you can just pay through school. That's fine. But but you're going to be working. You're going to be studying all day, every day, and so really, what you're trying to do in that season is set your expectations right. Where you're saying, my expectations for this season are going to be, for you, it's kind of been like focusing down on specific classes that are taking you to where you think you're going long term, investing into the few really good relationships you have, like you and me and other mentors, which I think you've done super well in this season. And I think it's because of what you're describing. You've understood your season, so you've known, okay, this is what I should expect to get out of it. This is what I should look forward to from the season. Because you didn't go into this season thinking it was going to be a 4-year vacation.
Lord, no.
So you probably went in the other way, thinking like, I'm going to die. But that's fine. It's good. Okay, we had another one, right? Yeah, DLK.
Do you have any tips on like planning your future, like finding out what you think that you might be doing?
Don't rush it. I mean, I still don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. I think I want to, major in one thing, but it could change tomorrow. God's crazy like that. I mean, Parker's told me multiple stories about how, he's gone to do this one thing, and it wasn't until 5 minutes before that he changed his mind because God was speaking to him. So, I mean, it all really just depends on, what God's speaking to you. I mean, that's why we have seasons, because they change. So.
That's good. My only thing I would say on that is I think you want to be more concerned about who you're becoming than what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because if you become the right person, whatever you do is going to be successful.
Right.
Essentially, that's a big part of what Paul's saying, is that he's saying that if you'll focus on being with Jesus, becoming like Jesus, then whatever you do, essentially, you're going to do it the way Jesus would have done it.
Right.
And then it's going to be really good. So becoming the right person is a huge step in the right direction with that. If you can focus on that, it's good. Any other questions? We have time for one more question. 7:58.
Do you have a question?
Do I have a question? No, man.
You know everything.
Okay, Caleb.
This kind of goes with what Grace was saying, but how do you? I know you said that you won't be able to understand the balance of everything going on, but how do you know when that balance is unhealthy and you are burnt out and you aren't resting enough?
I mean,
So what symptoms of burnout, basically?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
I mean, I think you kind of answer your question in your question. If you're not resting, then you're not healthy. I mean, rest creates health, and that's why we need to do it. Is because, like Parker said, if you have 7 days of an unrested you, that ain't near as productive or as helpful as 5 days of a rested you. And so, if you don't have that time to rest, and if you aren't resting, or if you can't find time for the things that matter, then I think that in itself shows that you have an unhealthy balance. So.
Yeah, it's good. I think I would say that that you're rested when it's, I think that a way to set yourself up for success in the area of the discipline of resting is really healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
So one of the boundaries that I am really bad at is when I go home, I really should just shut everything off, put everything away, and just spend time with my kids and my wife. But when I get home, I'm so on to the next thing that I work nonstop. And I'm kind of coming to the grips that I might be a little bit of a workaholic. And so I'm trying not to have that define me. So I'm trying to set in some really healthy boundaries so that I can not be burned out, 3 months from now. For sure. So, but that's really good. All right, you got any closing thoughts?
Come back next week.
Hey, that's good. That's good right there. All right, that's it. Thank you guys, everybody joining us online. Thank you guys so much. Did we miss any questions online? No questions? Okay, sweet. All right, tell them bye. Bye. See you guys next week.